course, some of the things we're going to discuss is the structure of the exam. We are going to look at the structure of the exam. We are going to look at the examiner's expectation. What does the examiner expect of you? We are going to look at the level of assessment, how we are going to be assessed in this exam, and then the examiner's remarks. What the examiner has been, of course, noting down following the marking of the exam and what people have submitted. So we shall, of course, start with the examination structure. The financial reporting examination is a 3-hour and 15 minutes examination comprising of 2 sections, section A and B, comprising of 2 sections, section A and B. Section A has 1 compulsory question which is carrying 40 marks. Section B has 4 questions, and as a candidate you'll be required to attempt 3 questions out of the 4, and of course those 3 questions each is going to carry 20 marks or carries 20 marks to bring us to the 60 marks that you add on to the 40 to give you the 100%. And of course the examiner expects you to have various abilities. The examiner expects you to have various abilities. Among those, having knowledge on the measurement of elements of financial statements, having the ability to prepare financial statements and accounting records for business organizations, having ability to analyze financial statements and interpret information. Okay, interpreting accounting information, you must have the ability to apply the different measures in order to interpret the financial statements. The examiner expects you to have the ability to apply the accounting standards is going to select, to have the ability to prepare consolidated financial statements of a single group structure. What you're doing are what we call basic groups. So you're expected to prepare the consolidated financial statements of a single group. You're expected to prepare accounting records for entities that are under receivership and liquidation. You must know the accounting for such entities. If an entity is ceasing business, how do we account for the transactions that are leading to closure of the business? How does the liquidator prepare their final statement of account? So all those things you must exhibit the ability to prepare. Then the level of assessment. This examination will test your analytical, evaluation, and synthesis skills. Okay, analytical, evaluation, and synthesis skills that you need as an accounting professional to prepare financial reports that are in compliance with international reporting standards. So those are going to be tested during the examination. Then of course, before the examination, you should practice and understand all the areas of the syllabus and their applicability. All the areas of the syllabus and their applicability. This is of course expected that you would cover the entire syllabus, not leaving out anything within the syllabus. You are expected to practice and understand the key adjustments involved in the preparation of consolidated financial statements. Okay, the key adjustments. You are expected to explore various ways in which analysis and interpretation, right? Here we are talking about ratios. Okay, we are talking about ratio analysis. Yeah, analysis and interpretation. So of course, as you're going to say ahead, we are saying, are you able to look at the financials and tell that the company is profitable? Are you able to look at the financials and tell that the company is solvent? Okay, is the company liquid enough to meet its short-term obligations, short-term and long-term obligations? So you're supposed to practice and look at those various ways. Before the examination, get acquainted with all the international financial reporting standards, especially those that are covered under financial reporting. You're expected to understand the application and requirements of the standard, of each of the standards. So you make sure that as you're reading, you understand the application, where this one applied. For example, borrowing costs, where the borrowing costs applied. Of course, you know that borrowing costs would be applied if you borrow money from the bank. And how do you account for that? The costs that come along with the borrowing. IAS 16, you would know that one is applied on property, plant and equipment. And what are the requirements of the standard? IAS 40, if you have investment property. IAS 20, government grants, if you receive a grant. So basically, as you're reading, try to connect different things. You should know that 20 goes to government grants, 38 goes to intangible assets you have, 16 goes to the property, plant and equipment. So you need to understand and understand the application. That's the application, and then the requirements. What does IAS 16 require us to do on property, plant and equipment? What does 23 require us to do on borrowing costs? So don't just get a general overview of the standard. You need to dig deep and try to appreciate the application and requirements of each of the standards. Then you ought to have a full understanding of the key underlying principles and standards governing financial reporting. The key underlying principles, okay? The key underlying principles: accruals basis, the measurement basis, okay? So you should have highlighted all of that. Then before the examination, as you revise, emphasis should be put on all the new accounting standards. Put a lot of emphasis on the new accounting standards, because I know the examiner is still excited and he wants to examine this. So you fall a victim if you do not know the requirements of the new standards. Especially here we're talking about IFRS 15, IFRS 16 and others. Okay, so get to know their impact on financial reporting and their application. Of course, as you're doing the examination, you'll be required to prepare financial statement extracts. You may not prepare a full statement, but the examiner may tell you to prepare an extract. An extract is not a full statement. Even if it says prepare financial position extract, profit or loss extract, don't prepare the entire statement. Just prepare the sections of the statement that are affected by the standard. Of course, in regard to the transaction that you'll be given, depends on the transaction that you're given. So those extracts, some people don't know them, they have not seen them, and they fail to prepare such extracts. Again, during the exam, we are saying now you have gone for the exam. In the exam, you're given the first 15 minutes. Those first 15 minutes are for you to settle in and lay your passing strategy. You're not supposed to write in the first 15 minutes. You're not supposed to write. Just settle in, lay your passing strategy, read the instructions carefully, and make a good choice of questions to be attempted. Don't panic. Read the instructions carefully and start to make good choice of questions. You need to rank the questions. Read through them and rank your best question. It's not a must that you must start with the very first question. Actually, so I suggest it's also another passing strategy that you start by hunting for the 60 marks rather than the 40 marks. You must plan for your passing. Start with the easy questions to earn you easy marks. Why would you start with very complicated questions? There could be a simple question in section B, and you see that you can pick up those 20 marks. So, success comes with doing what you know best. No need to gamble. So if you start with the very first question, which is an easy one, which you feel is easy on your part, you are in a very good place to continue looking for more easy questions. And of course, by doing that, you are now getting motivated, than a person who is starting with a very hard question, gets defeated along the way, begins to panic. Be mindful of the time on each question. Now, as I've told you, passing is planning. You must plan for the time. You've been given 3 hours. You can be given the whole day, but right now you're given only 3 hours. So you must utilize the 3 hours. You must plan for them. The gold you have right now is the time. That's the gold you have. So you must use that resource sparingly. People don't plan. They say, me naturally I'm like this. I don't time myself. I've never timed myself. Even right now, you must time yourself. And it starts right now before the examination. Don't begin timing yourself in the exam. Sit down, get time, say this weekend or Sunday, I'm going to do an FR question paper. I'm going to time myself. I'm going to use the passing strategy Innocent was talking about. See if you can make it. So, for purposes of the exam, 72 minutes must be spent on section A, that compulsory number. Take 1 hour 20 minutes on section A. Then 36 minutes per question on section B. If you go beyond 72 minutes, 36 minutes section B, trust me, you're not going to make it in terms of time. And yet time is part of the examination. If you use more than, for example, some people use 1.5 hours on question 1, definitely you can't make it. That is failure point number 1. Not utilizing the time as allocated. So the examiner, in the mind of the examiner, is that as a candidate, you're going to sit down and allocate time. You're going to sit down and allocate time. That's why in life you have people who do things and they never finish. You see, life gives you all the time. Life gives you all the time. So how are you utilizing the time? You see people who are doing things at 40, things they were supposed to do at 20. It means that those people are not mindful of the time. In accounting, in finance, we are time conscious. Even when you time yourself, the wall clocks are there. You can also use your own clock if you want, but timing is inevitable, you cannot avoid it. Then of course indicate the question number attempted at the beginning of each answer on a fresh page. Okay, this one the examiner has been talking about it. You don't want to indicate the question number attempted. You don't want to do this. Why wouldn't you want to tell us? Tell us, are you attempting question 2? It is question 1. It is question 4. No one will tell. It's you to tell us. So you must indicate the question number attempted at the beginning of each answer on a fresh page. Do not attempt extra numbers. Any excess question will not be marked. Of course, this one may not be likely in our case of financial reporting because of the magnitude of time you need to allocate. So you may not find, unless you're too fast, it is not going to be marked. And the marking is first in, first out. The first question you present is the first question that is marked. The examiner will not go at the end of the. So that's why I was saying start with the easy questions, because even the person marking you is motivated. Understand the requirements of each question so as to avoid preparing what is not requested for. Some people you've heard of people setting their own question, people presenting what is not required. So what does the examiner want? Am I required to prepare an extract? Am I required to explain a standard? So read the required, understand the requirements so that you don't give us what we don't need. Identify the applicable international accounting standards and the provisions to the scenario presented. Look at the scenario that you have been given. Which accounting standard is applicable? Okay, which accounting standard is applicable? What are the provisions of the standard, and how do those provisions affect the scenario that has been presented to me? Okay. Pay attention to all parts of the question to maximize your chances of passing. All parts of the question are important. Even if it is 1 mark, pick it up. Okay. Causes of failure in financial reporting: using old notes, thus making reference to old or outdated standards. Yes, you can read on your own, by the way, and you pass. Very much so. But you must pay attention on what is the latest release. Okay? What is the latest release? Failure to provide the required financial statement extracts that are required. Isolating accounting standards, yet these are always interlinked or integrated and examined in one scenario. Like if you look at December 2020, question 4, the examiner linked 3 standards and there is no way you could isolate these ones. He linked IAS 23 with 16 with IFRS 16. Those were interlinked and you could not isolate. So if you begin spotting that I'll read 23, I'll not read IFRS 16, you cannot manage such a question. You couldn't do question 4. So you must have had good knowledge of IAS 23, good knowledge of 16, IAS 16, and good knowledge of IFRS 16. So do not isolate. Failure to treat key adjustments in the preparation of consolidated financial statements. The additional information, people don't look at it. They go ahead to begin consolidating. So you must look at the adjustments because they will affect the final statements. Failure to identify the relevant and specific standards for the treatment of specific transactions given in the question. Like if someone talks about borrowing, because the company borrowed these funds. So look at the provisions of 23. The company purchased or made a revaluation of its property, plant, and equipment. So specific is still a challenge. People cannot identify a specific standard that must be treated on a specific transaction. Actually, this is the largest cause of failure in financial reporting. Failure to provide the name of the standard if required in the question. According to the standard, which standard? Tell us. Why are you hiding? According to the standard, the recognition criteria, which standard are you telling us? Talk about it. according to 23, according to 21, according to 16. Give us the name. Why are you hiding the name? Presenting journal entries instead of financial statements extracts as required by the question. Very many people present accounting entries, but they don't show how those entries affect the final statements. Okay, so that's another cause of failure. Having a general view of the standard other than having an understanding of the application and requirements of the standard in details. People have a general view. Yes, they know how to apply 38, but now when you take them into deeper application of the standard, they cannot do it. Failure to understand how to apply different standards in the day-to-day activities. Of course, other reasons for failure, like not looking at the marks that have been allocated, overlooking marks allocated to a question. But again, as you're reading these standards, what is the application of the standard day to day? Is it just theory? Are they just giving us these things? Some people say, where do we apply these things? Usually students ask, where do we apply? You're asking a very pertinent question. Ask yourself, where do we actually apply these? Failure to present answers in a report format as required by the question, thus leading to loss of marks allocated. Yes, you can look at December 2020 question 5. It's not a must that always you're going to present information as a statement, as an extract. No. You might be required to present your answers in form of a report. So do not miss that professional mark of report preparation. December 2020 question 5 is one of the cases I can cite here. Now, we go into the examiner's remarks. What the examiner has been identifying, what the weaknesses have been, and where you should focus as you're reading. So I congratulate you for completing the first session of our financial reporting passing strategy. So we are moving into a more exciting session, examiner's remarks. So I want you to go to the next lecture video. If you are watching this on our YouTube channel, I want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you will be prompted whenever we are uploading more of these videos. These are very, very important videos to help you not only just pass your exam, but to also make you better in your career. So just go to the next lecture video. If you don't have access to it, just go to our YouTube channel. You'll be able to access this and all the others we have published. So I wish you all the best. See you in the next session. Thank you.